No, it goes both
Really
ways.
appreciate you joining us. I'm surprised we've not met before because I think every time I mentioned that we're having a chat, I had about 5 to 10 people super proud that they know you, commenting, going, "Yeah, I've known Mike for longer than you." It's like a competition. So no, everyone's really excited. It's the first time we've done one of these at 9 a.m. So I think a lot of people are probably hungover or used to doing them the Tuesday nights. But we'll chuck this on YouTube and they can come back and have a watch. But basically, yeah, a lot of the people in our crew, we've got like a Facebook group, and they're all artists and they're all releasing regularly. And a lot of people just don't really know what to do. They don't know um, what to do playlist wise. You know, everyone's heard of like Playlist Push. We've all got our Spotify artist insights, but as far as just like, I don't know, it's a bit of an unknown territory. So I thought it'd be great to get you on here and maybe you could explain to us a bit about yourself and work hard, playlist hard, and maybe have some insight into what some of these artists can do.
I can. I think the hardest part is getting that down to a few minutes so that we can keep going. Um, yeah, look, I mean, I guess let me give you the shortest version I can. Grew up in Adelaide, got into DJing as soon as I was legal, maybe a little bit before. Um, really enjoyed it. Wanted to start playing gigs in other cities. Got into production. Was able to do that. After signing with a few labels and having some success, started making some very different music. It wasn't necessarily just bangers or just funky house. And no surprises, the label said, "We have no idea what's coming next from you. We can't really, commit to you in any way." So with my project, with two friends, Sharif Demanstia, amazing sax player based out of Brizzy, and Anders Magnuson, who's still back in Adelaide. Um, his nickname is Golden Ears, audio engineer. We formed a project called Date Night, and it's basically us making what we love, regardless of if we could play it out or we just wanted to listen to it at home when we're chilling or whatever. And we realized no one wanted to sign a group that just made music, put it out when they felt like it, put out what they wanted, and had no fucking structure whatsoever. So we just went, let's take a shot at this. Let's go independent. Let's put it out ourselves. And so we signed up with one of those online distributors for a small yearly fee and put it out as a risk. I mean, we were terrified. I think it was $26 for the first year, and we were terrified because we never made any money necessarily outside of your APRA and things like that. And surprisingly, for me, it felt like it was the right time. I'll get into more of the story later, but basically by going independent, we had to do everything ourselves. We had to reach out to Spotify, Apple Music. We had to work out how to get on Beatport. We had to work out how to get our tracks on Tracksource without a label behind us, and all of this stuff, and learned a lot in the process. And then fast forward to a number of years later, made a lot of mistakes, had a lot of wins, and in the process, documented a lot of it, wrote a book and things like that. And just, I guess, really, anytime I speak to artists, I just want to save them as much pain as I can and save them from investing money in things that they don't need to. And just answer those questions that people seem to be afraid to answer. Because every time I go to a music conference, there's the very safe panels where no one wants to touch on certain topics. And I go, well, there's really no reason. It's just because you work with this company, you can't talk about this. So I like to speak directly to the artist because I put out music myself. I'm not the greatest producer by any means, but the music was good. And what I've learned helped us to get it to that next level and stay independent.
Yeah, amazing. We'll
That
have
was,
links to
that
all
was
of these
that
books
five
and
minutes.
stuff. Nailed it. Is that okay? We'll have links to all these, all the website and the blog, and because you've got a blog up there, you've got the podcast, you've got YouTube videos. So I guess people can go quite into depth with that as well. One thing I noticed, and what I wanted to ask you, is you've created your own playlists. Do you think that has been as important as pushing to other people's third-party playlists?
Hell yeah. Um,
Yeah.
this is great because I'm talking to a bunch of Aussies mostly in here, right?
Yeah. All Aussies.
Okay. So I'm trying to think of the way to say this without causing any controversy because that's not the strategy here. Um,
Yeah.
okay, there's a lot of DJs that contribute to the ARIA Club chart. Last time, from memory, it's probably been 6 or 7 years since I had to step down because I moved.
Yep.
Anyway, at
Like
the time,
two to 300 DJs.
how many?
200 to 300.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So chances are you know each other or you know a number of them, and
Yep.
there's a lot of, hey mate, just making sure you got my track that happens on a
Yep.
Tuesday night because they know that Wednesday there's the cutoff to get your charts in.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, mate, just making sure you got my track. By the way, I got one out next week. Yep, cool. And it takes work, but it means that you may have just had an opportunity to get that track to them at the right time and get that considered for the charts.
Yeah.
Very much the same with playlists, however, with playlists, people refer to it as trades. And so basically going, hey mate, got a new track that comes out this Friday. Love you to check it out. And, just keep it in mind when you're updating your playlist. And then that person usually is an artist that has a playlist. They hit you back. Yeah, hey bro, cool. I actually have one out next week, and it just keeps going from there.
Yeah.
So that's easier said than done, but that is one way that I've seen it work. And I learned that by watching the majors. So the major record labels have their own playlist brands. So Warner Music owned Topsify, Sony owned Filter, Universal owned Digster. And then outside of that, you've got your Spinnin' and Revealed and Protocol and all of these other labels that have these playlist brands that they've built up. And I realized that the outreach was getting easier and easier to make these friends. And so I guess that's part of the journey that I've documented as well. And, I'm not saying that, hey, you create a playlist right now, you get 2 of your mates to follow it. You should go and hit up Nicky Romero's team and go, hey, I got some tracks for Protocol and I can put yours on mine. But eventually you could get in a position where, sure, you might be able to do that. There's Aussie labels as well that have playlists that they curate. You've got Tomorrow, you've got Central Station / Sweat It Out. So there's opportunities within Australia as well.
Yeah, beautiful. And like you've got your website here and you've got the online courses. Is there anything, which one would you recommend doing for someone that's kind of like brand new and wants to learn about all of this?
Yeah, look, and I try to have an option for everyone. I mean, there's stuff on my YouTube channel that's free.
Yep.
That's obviously safer than what we'll get into in here because this is more for the group.
Yep.
But outside of that, most people start with the book. It's a good starting point. I really lay down the process of where I started and, things like curating your first playlist. What should your first few playlists look like? What should emails look like? How should you grow your followers? Whether it's tagging artists on socials, sending out emails to every artist that you add to your playlist, how to have templates that will save time in sending those emails, and then, how to reach out to other people once you've got something of value that you can, I always said the best responses I ever got was when I would go up to an artist's team that were managing their playlists and I would say, hey, just letting you know I added this track from your artist to my playlist. Here's a link if you want to check it out. And then a week later, after a really positive response, I could hit them back and all of a sudden they were like, yeah, what have you got? Send it our way. So yeah, I guess the short answer is the book.
Yep.
If you're still hungry for more, then the course is cool because I'm constantly updating that a lot more than the book. There's a lot of stuff that's changing. I know Amazon Music is starting to grow in Australia, so I've really started expanding on that. in the course as well. And then there's services that aren't available in all countries, but your music is still on them. And
Yeah.
I see a lot of artists that just only pay attention to what's available. So, Amazon, Spotify, and Apple Music is all that I know of that we have in Australia. So I don't pay attention to Pandora or Deezer or Angami or any of them. And, I really want people to think outside of the box and realize that you have fans in other countries that you may not have been able to connect with yet. And all you need to do is have a little presence on these platforms, and you might direct them to your social media. And then eventually you might realize that you have enough listeners in a particular country, in a particular city, that when things go back to normal, you may be able to jump on a plane and go and play a successful show.
Oh, that's amazing. I'll have to write a list of those ones. How do you suggest sort of getting involved with those sort of other platforms that maybe we do look over? Because obviously Spotify is pretty much the attention to majority of people. I'd say Apple Music second.
Yeah, look, I mean, one thing I say is you don't need to have a login. You don't need to have access to go in and necessarily that I'm not saying, hey, go and sign up with Amazon, Apple, Spotify, all of them, because that's not necessary. But they all have their own free tools that you can sign up for from anywhere in the world. So Pandora have their artist marketing platform known as AMP, and it's amp.pandora.com. Deezer, which is really big in South Africa before Spotify got out there and is based out of France. They have backstage.deezer.com. Then you've got artists.apple.com for Apple Music for artists. You've got artists.amazon.com for Amazon Music. You've got artists.spotify.com, which most people know. Then sites like Angami in the Middle East is dash.angami.com, dash.angami.com.
Oh, yep.
The list goes on. I mean, it's just, and I'll be honest, I'm always learning. There's new ones. I mean, there's one here in the US now called Qobuz, Qobuz, and their market is audiophiles. So people that are obsessed with sound quality and have a $10,000 Yamaha amp in their lounge and only listen to music that is available through that service. And, so what and the list goes on, but I say it's just all these other opportunities that you don't have to spend a lot of time on. It could be 5 minutes on each of them to sign up. And then you go back a week later, once you get access, and you add your bio, you put your links into your social media, you upload a picture and maybe a few other things that they let you do. And it's there. It's now another home where people can find you and continue to find you.
What's your thoughts on like the advertisement? Like you got Spotify advertisement, Apple advertisement, and that sort of thing. So it's maybe not a playlisting question, but do you see much value in those and maybe doing it ahead of time, letting them know? Have you had much experience or wins with that?
Running ads in the platforms themselves. So
yeah.
I had an opportunity. It must have been 2018 when Spotify were allowing some artists over here to directly distribute with them. So bypassing any labels, any distributors like CD Baby or DistroKid or Ditto or anyone like that, bypassing all of them and uploading your music directly into Spotify and getting paid directly from Spotify. During that time, one of the tools that they gave me access to was, it was called Marquee. And for anyone that doesn't know what a marquee is, it's when you open the app on your phone and you get a full screen pop up and it would say new music from artist X. And you pretty much have two options, close or listen to this now. And they were free for artists that were going direct with Spotify. And I'll tell you right now, we released a track on a Wednesday as a strategy so that we weren't fighting with every other major label. And we got 20,000 hits that day on that marquee.
Wow.
Which was incredible. So now that it's paid, everyone's kind of backed off it. But it's been a good strike rate because they're feeding it to the right audience. I don't know what necessarily the rate per click works out to.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, if you've got a little money, it's a good idea. And even if people don't click that button, they see your artwork and your name, and it's raised a little awareness for you. So it becomes more familiar if they see that name pop up again in the future.
Yeah, I guess it's just so hard for all of us to know where to put our time and where to put our money, and there's no guarantees, right?
No, there's never any guarantees, but I mean, if there were, I don't even want to imagine what it would look like. It wouldn't be exciting anymore, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I've used like Playlist Push a few times, and there's just so many different third-party playlisters out there. You get so much feedback from so many different playlists depending on how much you've spent. I've done campaigns from 500 Australian dollars to over 1,000. And we've got a list of a couple, like I know Listen Up does some playlisting. You can submit on your website, your tracks, right? I haven't done that yet, which I probably should do. And then there's the Falling Apple for Apple Music. Are there any that we're missing here that we should be checking out?
I don't know if you mentioned Submit Hub in there.
Yep, Submit Hub.
Yeah. So I guess Submit Hub is kind of the OG when it comes to before people were really going, hey, I'm prepared to spend some money if there's a possibility of getting on a playlist and having someone actually listen to it. I'm prepared to pay a few bucks because if I saw that curator, I would buy them a coffee,
Yeah.
So Submit Hub originally was just blog focused, and then that translated into playlists and YouTube uploads and all of that stuff. It's a good starting point, if you don't have much of a budget. And also there are the free options, of course, but I think it's usually a few bucks and they respond within 48 hours or you get your money back or part of it back. Things like Playlist Push is more, I want to drop this song, add some details about it, drop this amount of cash on it, and then go back to doing all my other stuff. There's less involvement from you. But the thing with Playlist Push is if you're looking for ROI, if you drop $1,000, you're not going to make $1,000 back. That's not the point of it. If you're looking to drop $1,000 and you're looking to slowly boost your monthly listeners, and then you've got your next release out and you just want to keep climbing and have that long-term growth, then, and most importantly, you've got the money to invest, sure. But I just say that to people because I've had artists come to me and go, hey, I just took out a loan. I'm going to run all these campaigns on my tracks. I go, mate, you're not going to it's not a fucking investment where you're going to make your money back. It's you believe in your music that much. And this is long-term, it's, you go and buy a new launch pad. You don't expect to make a banger the next week and make all your money back on that. You buy a launch pad and you might get good at it over a few years, make tracks, and then eventually make the money back. But you need to think of it that way.
It's a tax write-off as well.
You can't look at everything as, I'm going to make my money back immediately on this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's always a tax write-off, which I tell people as well, Would you rather pay all that tax money or would you rather have some, at least it's building your brand. Exactly. I'm going to be sorry if this is a dumb question. I'm not sure what is dumb and what is smart question, but one thing I've always worried about when using all of these third-party playlists is how do you know that there's not like click farms or like how do you know the plays are reals and how do you know they're real people?
Because the ones that are fake are shithouse. That's the nice way. No, I use this example all the time when I'm speaking at conferences, and I put it up on the screen for shock factor. I wish I could put it up right now, but there's a bunch of these playlists out there, and one that comes to mind immediately is ones that are named after a movie. And there was one, and it was the Moana soundtrack, and it had 45,000 followers. And somebody admitted to me that they paid to get the hip hop track on this playlist, and I went to it, and it's got the songs from the movie, yeah, but then it's got Notorious B.I.G., 50 Cent, like all this 90s hip hop and rap. And then it has country music, and then someone's dumped an entire album in there, and it's 500 minutes long. And I go, this is the biggest clusterfuck I've ever heard. And somebody paid to be on this. I'm not listening to this for more than 2 minutes, and I'm only listening because it's hilarious. It's safe to say that no human is listening to this and enjoying it because of the randomness of it. So why would I pay to be on this when I know that I can't enjoy it myself personally? So those ones are the most obvious. Absolutely. You go, okay. And a lot of them will tell you, they'll say, hey, another warning sign that you get is, let's say somebody approaches you on Instagram or Twitter or whatever and goes, hey, I'll add your, whatever tracks you got, just fill out this form, PayPal me or whatever, this amount of money, and I'll add them in the next 2 days. They didn't even ask for a link to listen to the track first, and they've just said, give me the money and then a link. So you could send them anything. You could send them a sound, you farting for 5 minutes and give them $100 and they would put it in their playlist. There are some other ones out there as well. And what I find is, as soon as people start just blatantly charging for a placement without wanting to listen to a song, the value of that playlist goes down immediately. It's basically, it's digging its own grave. It may deliver some numbers, but you can be sure that there's no real person listening and enjoying that. So it's not going to translate into fans. And the worst part is, let's say you did buy your way onto a playlist, and let's say you got an extra 20,000 monthly listeners and 20,000 streams. 2 weeks later, you're taken off that playlist. You plummet all the way back down to what you're at before. And now you have to rebuild again. And in the meantime, there's that history there that can be seen by Spotify or anyone else. A lot of artists think that it's okay and they would do anything to help themselves. They go, I would do anything to help my music. I would pay to get on a playlist if I feel it would help. And I understand that, but it's not the same as buying followers and likes on Facebook or Instagram where there's no punishment for it. No one's removing your Facebook or your Instagram, but that's because you're not making money out of people going to your posts. Whereas Spotify, they're paying you per stream. So, they're obviously going to say, well, we're not going to give that money to your distributor or your label, number one. And number two, we're just going to take your music down because you're abusing this. And we're going to blacklist you, which is the worst case, where you can't release music again with this artist's name on our product, on our platform.
Yeah.
Which is starting to happen to artists again now. They're getting, and the thing that crushes me.
Do you think big artists are kind of doing that?
What's that?
Like big artists or any artists are getting intentionally getting fake plays and they're getting fanned out?
It's usually, it's really hard to tell with big artists when they're getting all these plays because they can have the super fans that are actually doing some dodgy stuff to boost their numbers too. Yeah. As long as they didn't actively tell them to, I think it was,
wow.
Was it? I think it was Justin Bieber that posted on Twitter or Instagram, and it might have been last year, and it was something like, hey, my new track's out. Everyone add it to a playlist 100 times and press play and put the volume down really low and go to sleep and just let it play all night. And, get everyone to do it. Oh, and open new private browsing tabs in your web browser from different accounts so that you can stream from 5 accounts at once. Thanks so much, guys. You're the best fans ever. Within a few hours, it was taken down. Not the track, but all of the posts. And even for a major artist, you can risk opportunities there. You can risk a lot of support. And also, they're attached to a label or they're attached to, a group. That it can affect the others. So it's
wow. Yeah. So how many tabs did you have open? Just beeps, but volume on full.
I think I listened for 29 seconds because 30 seconds counts as a stream. Sorry, Ben.
Mate, amazing. That's so crazy. Yeah, wow. That's crazy that someone of that level would be so hungry for players when you think they're just going to get them anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, what's funny? There's the super fans, and I saw it this week again on Twitter. Actually, it was I can't remember. They've given the name for themselves, but it was Blackpink and Miley Cyrus fans. And they made all these images up saying very similar, hey, open multiple private browser tabs and
Wow.
create from all of them. Oh, and
God, how do we get a super
something
fan?
about, and get a firewall and set all these different locations so you're not all streaming from the same location. And, you know, it's some pretty gangster shit. It's like,
Wow.
just calm down. I think Miley and Blackpink are going to be okay, you know? Like, they're doing fine.
What beer have we got in our hand there?
Kind of sums up my mood talking about, you know, this shady and salty
crew. Do you get much of the Aussie beers over there? Like, we've got like pretty much a different brewery opening every day here.
You know what? We do get the beers here. Coopers are here. Foster's is everywhere in the world. I think Crocodile Dundee must have cracked one open in the movie because everyone assumes that every one of us loves Foster's. So, and you know, you go to the liquor store on the corner and they've all got the big cans of Foster's, and yeah, it's always
we've got different breweries opening every day. We've got milkshake IPAs. Does anyone have any questions at this point? You can either throw it in the chat or just chuck yourself off mute and ask away. Anyone out there? If not, I have another one. We had a chat the other day with Arlo, who works at Noise Hive and Zalon, and his main focus is on.
How you going, mate?
Yeah. So his 100% focus is building Spotify followers on your actual account, rather than as much playlisting. And I guess I just wanted to ask you what your thoughts. Do you do both, or is it just like one or the other?
I'm sorry, I kind of got a bit excited when you said Arlo. Lost part of the question. Would you mind saying that one again?
So Arlo's main focus is on building the Spotify followers. He uses swipe up campaigns on Instagram, and he's all about getting the numbers on the followers and that sort of vibe. I guess obviously yours seems to be a lot playlist push, but I did watch a few of your podcasts, and I've heard you, you know, at parties, if you're talking to someone, jumping on their phone and quickly throwing date night a follow. And so I guess the question is, do you put as much emphasis on trying to build that Spotify following as playlists, or is it sort of one more than the other?
Look, it's a mix. I mean, I'm not telling every artist that you need to be a full-blown curator as well, because you don't have enough hours in the day. You know, for an artist, if they want to curate playlists and have that extra value so that they can reach out to other people, you really only need one playlist that you're adding all those extra tracks to, and just put your energy into that. For me, I've got a few playlists now, but I'm fortunate enough that I've been able to employ people to help me out with all of that, which has been a massive relief. But just for the curation side, I should mention. But
yep.
Growing followers, yeah, look, it's really important, and there's a number of reasons why. So Spotify in particular, every time you submit, you have an upcoming release, you go into Spotify for artists, and as long as it's at least 7 days before release day, obviously 14 days, 21 days would be amazing. You've got that option to submit it for editorial consideration. But the other thing that happens is if you do that at least 7 days prior, it's guaranteed to go into release radar for all of your followers. So if you've got 500 followers, you go into 500 release radars on Friday. The only exceptions are re-releases if it's been released before, or if you remixed Old Mate, you can't submit the remix. Sometimes you can still creep it in there, but there's no guarantees. But an original song that hasn't been released before, yes, it will go into release radar for all of your followers.
Yeah, amazing. Perfect.
Yeah. So, you know, and not to dodge what you were saying about growing followers, yeah, I have.
Oh, we lost you there briefly. Is everyone else getting that? Or is that just me? Hello.
Next to your name.
Oh,
so,
sorry, we lost you there briefly. It froze. I missed what you said. Do you want to just repeat that quickly?
Yeah. So Spotify, your followers, you submit in Spotify for artists at least 7 days before release day, ideally 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before. goes into release radar for all of your followers, as long as it's original, not a remix, and not something that you've released before. One thing that you need to keep in mind is now in release radar, when people are listening, they can say, I don't like this track. And there's basically like a circle with a line through it, kind of like, a stop sign or something. And will keep that track and send that back to Spotify. And it will also give them the option to unfollow you. So if, before this, it wasn't a concern. It was, hey, I got 15,000 followers. That could be, if everyone listened to their release radar once, that's 15,000 spins of my track. Now it could be, shit, if 5,000 of those people don't like my music anymore, or I've released something completely different, I may get, some responses.
So have that consistency in your sound. Have that consistency in your sound. If you release regularly and you think it's a real curveball, maybe you could. I mean, if you're going to release something, I guess you're going to want to pitch it, aren't you? But that's amazing. That's great advice. I had no idea that people could unfollow you. Amazing, man.
If you grab,
we've got a group as well.
To follow you, make sure they actually like your music. Otherwise, you're fucked.
Well, it's like what you mentioned earlier about Australia being really good and having that great support network. We've got 200-300 DJs that submit to the club charts. We all chat to each other. We all know each other. We're all friends, really, and we all want to help each other. And that's kind of like it seems like your attitude is the same, which is fantastic. The Facebook group we've got, which is just Hot Sunday Records Artist Hub, has 270 people in there, and we want to do the same thing. We want to help each other. So I'll make sure we started a little feed where we've got we're all following each other on Spotify. So I'll make sure I throw Date Night in there. As any other accounts, or is it just Date Night for you at the moment?
It's just Date Night at the moment. Yeah, there's some other projects which they're not ready for a follow yet.
Fantastic. And I guess if you've got enough time,
yeah, I got plenty of time.
Okay, cool. There's so many playlists and I guess like different companies like Playlist Push popping up. Do you feel like it's going to be a saturated market? And where do you see it like going in the next sort of 12 months to 2 years?
Yeah, it's definitely feeling saturated. It's not as sexy and exciting as it used to be. That's for sure. I mean, we're always going to have playlists in some form. Playlists are mixtapes that we used to make and hand out to mates and things like that. Then it was mixed CDs, and now it's playlists. And there's always going to be some form of a bunch of music from different artists curated that we'll feed to other people, and that will help fuel the discovery. But I think it's really going into the direction of voice. And what I mean by that is everyone has a voice assistant in their phone. If I say her name right now, she's going to arc up. But actually, I'll say the other one's name. So, if you've got an iPhone, you say the name that begins with S. And if you've got an Alexa device, because she's in the other room, you say Alexa, or Google, or whatever else they've got going on right now. But what I've seen a lot of artists doing over here is making it easier for fans, whether it's new fans or existing fans. And so what I mean by that is, you can go, hey, in your Instagram story, you can go, hey, everyone, go to Spotify, search for my artist project. There's a picture of me in the kitchen. Go and click that one, click follow, and then cool, you're going to make sure that you get my tracks. Or, hey, everyone, swipe up, hope that Spotify loads. If not, go and open Spotify, go back, swipe up again, hit follow, and that's cool. Or go to this website, sign in, add all your details, and then you can follow me. Versus, hey, if you want to hear my new track that comes out next week on Friday, simply say, Alexa, follow Date Night on Spotify, or Alexa, follow Date Night on Amazon Music. And what's really cool about Amazon Music in particular is that they have notifications that go directly to the device that you've got in your home, or in some people's cases now in their car, where Alexa, when you first talk to her in the morning, she'll go, hey, you've got a notification. Date Night has a new song out. Would you like to listen to it now or add it to your playlist? Yeah.
Wow, and that's amazing.
In their home, like, you can't, like, this wasn't something you could do 5 years ago. And, before someone's checked their email or but you know, they've even pressed play on their release radar or anything else. Your music's being served directly to them. And the requesting part of the process is fun. You know, you post a video, and I actually posted a video of getting people to follow my podcast, and I had it. I said, "Hey, turn the volume up real loud and let this play." And people were playing it near their smart devices in their homes, and then coming back to me going, "Holy shit, Alexa's now following your podcast because I played what you had." So you know, it's not always going to work as they get smarter, but right now, like, people are always going to find these creative ways to use them. And I feel like with voice, you know, Pandora, I know Pandora isn't there in Australia. They were, but they're in the US and potentially Canada next, and so on. And they have what's called, now I've forgotten, I think it's voice messages by artists, where you can host your own playlist, and you can record these little voice stabs in between, and you can attach an intro or an outro to your track whenever it's served to anyone, even if they're not following you. You can have a link that appears on the screen in the app. And there's just all of this stuff that's making it easier to follow an artist, and easier to, you know, not only that, but say to your device, what song is this? And they'll tell you, or, hey, follow this artist. And, you know, it's just, it goes from there. And I mean, what got me into it was I got some new AirPods, and I was out for a walk, and I heard a song I liked, and I said, "Who is this?" And the lady in my ears told me, and then I said, "Follow this artist," and I was following that artist, and then a few weeks later, their new song was delivered to me.
Wow,
so voice,
amazing.
That's where I feel it's going to go next.
I guess that's something, a marketing technique that, or some insight that Arlo had as well, was the more clicks someone has to do, the less likely they're going to be to get to the final product and follow you. So if they've got to click through 5 different gates or whatever, it's just not going to happen. But I guess if you don't have to click at all, that's just...
Yeah, and look, you know, these smart links as well, I mean, I'm not against them by any means, but what I actually did was, instead of using a third-party website to host those smart links, I'd host them on the artist's website directly. So, you know, if Date Night had a new track out called, I don't know, Boom, I'd say, hey, you know, go to datenightmusic.com/boom, and there would be all of the smart links that I know are correct to all of the stores and streaming services. The best part is I'm driving all of that traffic to our website instead of to someone else's. And I can see all of the locations that they're coming from. While they're on the site, I can see if they go to another page after, maybe they go watch one of our music videos or things like that. So, you know, and that costs you nothing if you've already got the website. If you're using Squarespace or Wix or whoever, of course, you know, it's really easy to do. So,
wow. So that's just basically another tab or section of your website just dedicated to each release with all the links.
Yeah. And what I love about it is, you know, you can go, and if you've got a YouTube preview, you can embed that in there. And the day that the release goes live, if you had a pre-saved link in there, you can change that to the actual link. And you control all of it. So you know it's all correct. And, you know, I've even gone as far as hosting press kits on the website, because we know that press kits can change in time. So you've got a press kit and it's hosted on your website on this page, and then you get in the ARIA Club chart, you can add that to the press kit. Anyone that goes to that page, it's already there.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't have a website, you can have a Google Doc and just be plugging it in and updating it. Anyone that opens a Google Doc knows you can download it as a PDF, and you've got the latest version of that press kit with all the correct links.
Amazing. I guess a lot of people are questioning whether a website is important in 2020 for their artist profile, but that is just like, yeah, that's kind of gold right there. I never even thought of that. So they're definitely going to be doing that. That's great utilization of the website. And I guess, you know, you're more likely to appear at the top of Google searches the more action you're driving towards it as well.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Google. So with Google search results, you know, here at least, the top search results are Wikipedia and official websites for most artists. So Wikipedia, obviously, you can go in there and plug in that information or get your mate to do it and, you know, hype you up a bit. But Outside of that, you've got your official website. I know that if I'm looking for an artist and they have theirartistname.com or something very close to it, I'll go there because I assume that that's where I'm going to find all of their links that are correct to their presence everywhere else online. And that way, let's say they sent me a track, I can go and find their Instagram, their Twitter, their Facebook, and I can start following them in other places as well.
Yeah, amazing. Awesome. Fuck, I'm going to use that for sure. Perfect. I can see why your handle on everything is Ask Mike Warner. I love it. So
I give credit to Matt Downey for that one, actually. It made originally from the Gold Coast.
Yeah, I know Matt.
Well, but he called me up one day for I think the 4th time that week and just said, mate, you need to change your handle everywhere to Ask Mike Warner. And I went, all right. So shout out Matt Downey.
Oh, I love it, man. That's awesome. So originally we got put in touch by a friend as well. And that was because I was asking about curation websites. And so you used to basically curate playlists, but you don't anymore. You've moved on to more of basically what you said to me is the online platform to kind of help people all in one spot. Or so people can help themselves.
Yeah. So, when I started, all of the playlists that are, if you see the Work Hard Playlist Hard profile, or I think it's Mike Warner on Apple Music in some places, but it's all linked and all synchronized. And I'll get into that later. But they were all private, and I was curating them for myself, just for my own enjoyment. At the time, I actually really enjoyed Cowboy House. And so I had stuff like Lost Frequencies and things like that on there, and I made it public. And then a background music service in the US wanted to actually start replicating my playlist to make it legal to play in retail stores here. So it started getting played in clothing stores, and they obviously went in and handled the royalty side and the licensing side with all the labels. But yeah, I just made those playlists public and started growing them that way. But now I really wanted to spend more time on education because I am a really fussy listener. So what happens is I can't skip a song. I have to give it an opportunity. And so what was happening was that I was getting a large number of tracks each day sent to me by any means. And I was queuing them up and pressing play and listening to this crazy mix of music and forcing myself to listen to each song start to finish. And it could be 4 hours and I find 2 tracks out of there that I wanted to place. And I know that helped the artist a little bit, but I realized that 4 hours could be spent doing things like this, or writing the book or doing other things so that I could help more than just those 2 people. So I still somewhat have my curation hat on, but for the most part, now that I've managed to employ a couple of people with Work Hard Playlist Hard, I've just said, look, I know that you're not biased, and I need that because the curation needs to be good here. I just want you to listen to this music, and if there's something that you think is a good fit, then let's give them an opportunity and let's place them. But I need to remove myself from this side because I just can't do it. Every Friday getting emails, hey bro, hope you're well. Here's my track. It's like, I'm glad everyone hopes I'm well, but there's only so many emails I can help people with and respond to. So that's why I had to do that and sort of step down. I mean, I still love listening to music, but to be honest, my release radar now is 200 songs long every Friday. It goes for nearly 12 hours. Wow. And that's because when I was listening to all this music, I would follow every artist. And so it got into the thousands of artists, and everyone's now following the steps and submitting their music to Spotify at least 7 days before. So my release radar is just all day and no repeats. And so I just get to listen to new music all day from 7 a.m. until, nearly bedtime. And it's beautiful.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's where I discover a lot of music now, because it still does feed me similar tracks. And then I've got Discover Weekly and,
so Spotify is the main platform you're actually listening to personally?
Yeah. So what I do is, it's funny. So Spotify is the one for release radar, and because I follow the most artists on there. When I listen to hip hop, I tend to jump into Apple Music because Apple Music just feeds me hip hop all the time now. I love my old school 90s hip hop. and rap. And then if I'm listening to something more chill, like instrumental piano music, I go onto Pandora so that Pandora doesn't assume, I have this crazy eclectic mix of music, even though I do. But it's a good opportunity for me to get familiar with more than just Spotify.
Yeah.
But also I do my curation within Spotify, and then I synchronize it to 8 other platforms. So I curate my playlists in Spotify and I set it up so that now I can have, other people take over. But what happens is Spotify is the master, and then the 7 other ones every 24 hours will automatically refresh and copy the Spotify playlist into the other services. So
wow.
What happens is, let's say a song gets added to the new electronic playlist on the Work Hard Playlist Hard Spotify account. Within 24 hours maximum, it goes into the same playlist on, let's see if I can remember them all. These are Pandora, Qobuz, Tidal, YouTube Music, Apple Music, and one other one that I forgot. Sorry. But it's all automated. And so the cool thing about it now is, let's say, old mate Arlo hits me up and goes, "Hey bro, I've been really hustling hard on this new track, and what do you think?" And I go, "Yeah, it's cool. The team came back and added it to this playlist." You can say, "Hey, it's been added to this playlist on all of these platforms." And so instantly you've just added so much more value to that than just, "Hey, I added it to your playlist on Spotify." You go, "Hey, I added it to your playlist everywhere that I could." And, that's been a really big one for me, because you don't see follow accounts on Apple or Tidal or Qobuz or any of the other ones. And so people just go, "I've never been on a playlist on Apple Music. I know it's not editorial and it's not curated by their team, but wow, I'm actually on a playlist in Apple that people can listen to." And
is there like a website or something you use that does that automatically, or is that?
Yeah. So if for anyone that's read the book, I mentioned a service called Sounds Good, but they've since been acquired by one of the majors. So now I use a new service called Soundiiz, which is soundiiz.com. And the way that I think it's about $25 a year, and it can go up if you need to synchronize more. But every sync, this playlist synchronized from Spotify to this playlist on Apple every 24 hours. That's one sync. So I think you get about 25 syncs with the basic plan. But yeah, it's awesome. If you want to get really crazy with it, let's say you've got a band and you've got multiple people in there that want to add tracks to a playlist. You have a private collaborative playlist that everyone can drop their tracks into because it's private and collaborative. And then you have that synchronized to a public playlist that the fans can go and listen to. And then you have the public playlist synchronizing to every other platform. And that way you can all mess around in the background and you can all be playing around with this playlist, changing the order, deleting tracks, dropping them in. And so, there's a lot of stuff you can do to save yourself time. And, that's what I'm really loving getting into right now, is just automation and, still putting the same amount of human curation into it, but all of the other stuff where you can save time, save that time so you can get back to creating.
Wow, working really smart. That's amazing. Geez, I think we'll definitely be taking a lot out of this chat, man. This is absolute, just pure gold. Really, really appreciate that. Just open up and see if anyone has any questions. I still have more. I could probably go all day. But if anyone else wants to jump in, now's a good time.
Yeah, I've just got a question. Sorry, I got some construction background. It's a bit of a nightmare. Hey, Mike, thanks so much for all the insights so far. I've heard of different things, such as Arlo was talking about, like trying to release every 4 to 5 weeks. I've got an EP coming out in a couple months. I'm thinking what's beyond that in terms of, do I take a bit of time to do another EP, or kind of just try and continuously do singles and then put out an EP on a certain kind of schedule? Do you have any insights on that kind of thing?
Yeah, I guess there's two parts to that. One is I don't want people to feel forced to release that frequently if they're not outputting that level, not that level, but that amount of music. If you are, you're putting out an EP every few months with at least a few tracks on there, that's cool. Absolutely. Um, I get this question a lot where people go, should I just release singles or should I release EPs and albums? And I say you can do all of it. And what I mean by that is, you've got this EP coming out. There's no reason why the tracks that are coming on that EP, you can't release one at a time individually in the lead up to that. And what happens is every track gets its own opportunity. You can submit it to Spotify and other places and get it considered for editorial placement. It gets its own little home in Release Radar. You're probably going to gain some new fans after each of those tracks. Then when you go and release that EP, whether you're with a label or your distributor or however you're doing it, all that you need to do is attach the ISRC, the International Standard Recording Code, that you already have from those previously released tracks. Include that when you release the EP. What that does is that says, hey, these tracks from the EP already exist and they already have this many streams on them. So when this EP comes out, these stream counts will follow and they will merge. So you've got the track on your EP and you've got the track on the single release. No matter which one people listen to, the stream counts all merge together into one. So that you don't have multiple versions of the same track with different stream counts. And to give you an idea of what this looks like, there's artists that are going into Spotify for Artists and going, whoa, my album came out 24 hours ago. The total album streams is 250,000. And, that's awesome. But the reality is they may have had 200,000 streams from all of the other tracks on the album that came out earlier, and it all adds up. So, a lot of people beat themselves up about that and go, I'm never going to get that. And you go, well, hang on, if you released 10 tracks before, 20,000 streams each, you've got 200,000 streams. So you are building that story. So release each track as a single, absolutely. Then you can also include them on an EP. You can also include them on an album. The other thing is, if you're doing a track where you've got remixes coming out, you can do a new release. So let's say you release an original track by itself today. 2 weeks later, you get a remix that comes out. You can release that remix and piggyback the original track onto it again. And then the best thing that can happen is somebody goes to that new release, presses play, and they listen to the remix, and they leave it playing, and they listen to your original track. The Chainsmokers did this in the lead up to their last album with every single track. So what happened was they'd release one track, and then 2 weeks later, they would release the next track with the previous track attached to it. 2 weeks later, they would release the next track with the previous two tracks attached to it. And it was just blowing up because all of their fans were opening up this new release that was on their page that looked like an EP, hitting play and playing through all of the songs that were just released before. And by the time the album came out, it was already crazy. And you could do that at any level. And you're growing your followers each time as well, and you're getting extra opportunities for people to let it play through and listen to those other songs just by adding them on there.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Jeez.
Look, you know what? I got to say, so Date Night, we have a track. Our latest track is called Lead Me, and we're putting out an EP of that September 2nd, where we included the brand new remix. So that gets treated as new release. The remix is going into Spotify editorial for consideration, hopefully, even though it's a remix. But it will alert our fans and they'll see it on our profile, new release from Date Night, Lead Me EP. They press play and there's the remix, there's the short original mix, and then there's the extended mix for the DJs. And it costs us nothing to do an extra release to include that. And we've got another opportunity for the original version of the track to be heard.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I know what I'm doing. Let me go into my metadata.
Yeah. consistency doesn't have to be a brand new song every time, or you don't have to wait until an album to release it. You can drop a few tracks ahead of time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Oh, I'm definitely going to utilize that. Personally speaking, we've got an album, our first album dropping late December, and we've got a new track coming out every 2 weeks leading up to that. So no reason why we can't implement that technique for sure, and just make the most of it. Yeah, cool. I guess that would be really good for streaming platforms. Maybe not so much for your stores like Traxsource and Beatport, but that's quite easy just to do on the streaming platforms. Amazing. Anyone else got a question? If not, I had another one. When you were doing a lot of the playlisting stuff for other people and taking a lot of other people's tracks on, were there any really big notable like kind of wins or big artists you kind of work with that would just like blow streams away? And
as in people that would send me their tracks, or?
Yeah, or did you work on anyone else's tunes like their branding and their tracks and help them sort of get more streams?
Yeah. So I guess I can say this now because the song came out about a year ago. I helped on a track. It was Nicky Romero and, oh man, now I'm going to forget. It wasn't Jason Derulo. Oh man. Hang on, I got to find out. This is because I don't want to be called out for saying a track and it wasn't the track that I helped on. Let me see if I can find it quickly.
Yeah, no dramas. Take your time. We're in stage 4 over here, so we've got like all the time in the world. Oh, we're frozen again. Can anyone hear me when it freezes? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, Spotify crapped out when I opened it. I can't remember who the other artist was. It was Nicky Romero, and it was someone that hadn't released a track in a while, and but everyone knew their name, and it was a popular male pop artist that I think it had been about 5 years since he dropped a track. Anyway, I took that on, not really knowing what I could do with it because it was more of a pop-focused track than a banger, you know, as such. And it was crazy. I ended up getting, you know, magazines wanting to do features on it, and you know, all of these playlists that just came up out of nowhere that I didn't even know. And then some of the labels surprisingly came to me and said, "Oh, you know, you've never sent us something like this before, but this would fit our playlist because it's more pop focused." And that song ended up getting over 1 million streams on the weekend. And
Wow.
It
Neo?
didn't have any editorial placement until the Monday, I believe. So it was ridiculous.
Wow.
And I kind of looked at that and I went, that was a miracle and a mix of the names of the people involved and their followings and, you know, a combination of other things. But also, I guess it was me taking a gamble and saying, I'm just going to send this to these people, not knowing if they're going to have a home for it and not expecting it, and just asking them to take a listen and consider it. And the response was overwhelming. So I guess without saying, hey, that's going to happen to everyone and that's the case, it wouldn't have happened if I didn't ask.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have happened if I didn't approach it the way I did. Hang on a sec. Yeah. And it wouldn't have happened if I didn't approach it the way I did.
Yeah.
So
amazing. That's what we want. We all want 1 million streams first weekend.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I guess the lesson from that is I didn't assume or expect anything from them when I sent it. I just said, hey, look, I'm aware that this is different to what you would normally hear from me, and I don't expect anything. But if you can take a listen, that would be great. You know, I don't ask for feedback either. I just go, hey, if it's not your jam, that's cool. No need to reply or tell me. But if you can find a home for it, let me know, and I'll definitely get back and see what we can do on social media or whatever. And any artist can do that. They can send a nice email to a curator and go, hey, you know, I listened to your playlist. I heard this artist on there. I think it's great. You know, personalize it a bit. I wanted to send you my track. This is the vibe. Here's a link. It would be great if you could check it out. And, if you find a home for it, awesome. If not, I respect your curation. Have a great day. You'd be surprised how nice the responses are when you send an email like that, because there's so many people that just send an email going, new track for your playlist. Hey, you need to add this, or you're a loser because this track is on all these playlists, or this track is awesome. And it's like, no,
add my new song. I know where you live.
Yeah. add my new track because it's, being added to rotation on this radio station. I'm like, that's cool, mate, but it may not fit in this playlist. People trust me to give them a certain type of music and a certain type of experience. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. It doesn't mean it's a bad song. But yeah, I've had some people, and I think, I'll be honest, the people that I would respond to the quickest and the most would be the ones that would send the shortest message possible. And it would just be polite and to the point. And I've done this where I've sent an email or a DM or something to someone, and it's just been, hey, your playlist is great. I heard this artist on there and I like it. Do you have a submission process I can follow? And if so, what is it? And that's it. And I don't send them any links. I don't attach the press kit, the bio, 100 megabyte file of the master or anything like that. I just simply ask that question, and then it's easier for them to just reply and go, yeah, just send me the track here, or yeah, actually hit this link and send it to me there, instead of just ignoring it or blocking or saying, nah, I don't want to hear from you.
Yeah, wow. So you're kind of asking permission to ask a question rather than just asking, it's really polite.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like I need to teach people how to be polite or manners. That's not the point, but I guess the reason that I started doing that is I'm guilty of the copy paste when I was starting out, copy paste, hitting people up every way I could because I just felt I need to hit as many people as I can. And then I realized if I can be strategic and hit 10 people a day effectively, maybe a few of them come back. And even if I get one person each day, that's someone that I can actually go back to with each track in the future. So I stopped going for the quantity and I just started going, okay, I'm going to just slow it down a bit and actually just find people who are more likely to add my music and work on them. And that's been really effective.
Amazing. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I guess you've got to put aside real time and take it really seriously, or maybe if you don't have that time, use one of those third-party playlist things like Playlist Push, who obviously do it properly, kind of thing. You might actually do damage, I guess, trying to do it quick and not kind of like giving it the right amount of time. You might hurt your brand if you really if you send the same copy paste thing to 100 different people. They're going to remember your artist name. It's going to be the first impression. They're not going to really think of you favorably.
I think the worst part is when you copy paste that much, you make mistakes, and you're likely to, let's say you were copying and pasting an email each time to the next person, you're likely to have the wrong name in there, or you might even drop the name of the playlist from the previous email, and all of a sudden they know immediately, oh, this was just a copy paste. When you get to the extreme level of laziness, I've seen people who just CC 100 email addresses. And so obviously they meant to BCC it, but they didn't double check before they hit send, even though they're sending to 100 people at once.
That's how I got my entire email database. Not really.
It's that happens at least once every day. I'm on one of those.
Yeah.
It's just for the artist, it's once again, I get it. You're trying anything, but what happens is I looked at one yesterday. It was an EDM track, and I'm not going to say the artist's name, but it was an EDM track. And I looked at the other email addresses that were CC'd, and it was like Rap Nation and a bunch of rap blogs. And then I listened to the track. There's nobody doing any bars on there. It's a female vocal on there, and they're singing, and it's an EDM track. And they've just sent it to 100 email addresses, and it's just, I didn't even listen to the song because of that. I have to be honest. Like I pressed play and went, female vocal EDM song. That's a shame. You know, it's you know, I reply to a lot of these people and give them feedback, and sometimes they take it on board, and sometimes a week later it happens again. But you know, if this can be a lesson for anyone out there that's doing that right now, just take a few extra seconds and look at that list and go, do I really need to send it to these people when it's completely off genre? Or could I focus on this group first? Or more importantly, is there 10 people here that I would really love for them to listen to this and consider it? Let me write an individual email to those 10 people and then put the rest of the list back into the spreadsheet for later. You know, because those personalized emails really do work as far as getting responses. You know, if you can acknowledge where the person is or what playlist they curate, if you discovered an artist on their playlist, you know, or if they did a talk at a conference or something, you mentioned that you saw that, anything that you can do to personalize that and do that as your introduction, you're going to get a response a lot more likely.
Yeah, perfect.
Actually, another tip.
A lot of people need that.
Let me just close the door. Wifey's just come home. She's heard this shit too much. Oh God. No, I wasn't going to say emails. Fuck, I've lost it now. Damn.
I'm going to jump on and grab a copy of your book right after this. Everyone can find it at your website. It's only $5. Wow. Okay, Ramon, you've got a question? You can take yourself off mute.
You got a question or you got a copy of the book? That was quick.
Oh, man. He's got the book. Would you want to do the talk then? Yeah, beautiful. Oh, man. Well, does anyone else actually have any questions? Anybody at all? I think we've covered quite a lot. It's fantastic, man. We really appreciate your time. I've got to ask, what records are in the back over there?
We got Gorgon City, Ready for Your Love.
Oh, beauty.
We got Cascade, Be Still. And we have Date Night's debut album.
Oh, wow. You've got that pressed.
Yeah, and then the T-shirts in the background, I'm not sure if we can see them. Let's see. We got the Beastie Boys Hello Nasty World Tour from 1999. That was actually, I hate to admit it, but that was actually a bootleg shirt I bought outside after because all the official ones were sold out. That was 1999. And then Daft Punk Alive from the tour when I went over to WA and
oh, shit.
Best live gigs ever.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I'm so jealous. The bootleg hip hop t-shirts are big over in the States, aren't they? I was watching something on Netflix and it's just like, it's amazing sort of, industry. People just making all sorts of like, of those, bootleg hip hop ones. Someone had like basically a bedroom stacked full of bootleg hip hop t-shirts worth like phenomenal amounts of money.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, it shows your dedication to the artist. I mean, after I just admitted I got a bootleg Beastie Boys shirt, they seem to do okay though. But I would have bought an original shirt if they still had any left. But I went and caught the Hilltop Hoods here in San Diego last year. And I think I paid $45 for one of their shirts, happily. And immediately slipped it on. And I looked at all the other people that were doing that. They had singlets and all kinds of stuff, and everyone was just throwing it on. And I went, I feel like they're making more money out of this than the actual ticket price, because the ticket price wasn't even that much. And merch is still a big deal right now. People are proudly repping merch from their favorite artists because you can wear anything you want right now. Most of the world is working from home or stuck at home, or whatever. So everyone's comfy. They're repping whatever they want. I don't own a pair of jeans anymore. Fuck that. I don't even remember the last time I wore long pants. Period. Because I'm home. I'm cozy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny how things are changing.
And for you personally, considering COVID over there, like obviously we're over here, it's quite like a stage 4, stage 3. I've seen there's a few conferences you were meant to speak at, but they've been kind of online and Zoom. So have you just like lived on Zoom or?
Yeah, look, it's been a bit of a mix. So South by Southwest was one of the big ones this year. I was meant to be doing a presentation there. And of course, that was one of the first major events, even before Coachella, where they just said, nah, this can't happen. We have upwards of 500,000 people that are coming to the city of Austin. There's a pandemic outbreak that's getting worse. People from around the world, not a good idea. So yeah, what happened with that was it was really cool. I just said, well, you know what? At the time I was meant to be there doing it, I'm just going to go live. And I went live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Periscope on Twitter simultaneously. And just delivered it to anyone that wanted to attend, and then left it up online after. And South by Southwest actually went, oh, we're going to host all our sessions online now. You mind if we just put the YouTube link up so everyone can just go there, the 500 people that clicked attending for your session? And I said, yeah, no problem. And so all these people just are going to YouTube now, and people from around the world that were never able to attend. So I'm, looking for positives out of it. There's all these conferences that happen, all these talks that happen. And it's a lot more personal now because, let's say this was a conference and there was a bunch of attendees. Everyone can be typing in the chat. They can be going direct to me right now. It's a lot more personal than just one person in a room and everyone sitting there looking at them, taking notes. It's like you can interact with each other. So I've actually been enjoying it. I mean, I'm sad that I can't get out and travel, but at the same time, I completely understand. And I'm grateful that we have technology like this so we can do things like this.
100%. I think once this is all over, I'm just going to write down every conference there is in the world and do them all. Have you done ADE before?
I haven't. Every year when I go to do it, something comes up, whether it's a wedding or people visiting, family visiting here, or other conferences. I would love to go to ADE. It's just every time people go there, they just, I guess it's just, for me, it's a bunch of your mates in one place, which is so rare unless it's a wedding or a funeral. To have all your mates there, and it's actually a good time because you get to learn, you get to go and meet their mates, you get to go and meet new people, but you still got some familiar faces there to go and grab a pint with in between. And yeah.
We'll have to get the whole Hot Sunday group to go to ADE. We've just lost you there for a second as well. But I think basically we can sum it down to we'll be all having beers at ADE very soon.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, we'll definitely have to meet up at a conference and actually have a drink and catch up. And mate, we really appreciate your time today. It's been absolutely amazing. I'm going to put all the links to everything mentioned in the description when I chuck it on YouTube. We'll find out who the Nicky Romero collaboration was and we'll throw that in there as well.
I think it was Teo Cruz.
Teo Cruz, there we go. Mate, yeah, thanks again so much. If anyone you can jump off and say thanks. We'll leave it there. Otherwise, we'll just keep going all day. We can keep going for the next couple of hours. But yeah, thanks so much, mate. Really appreciate it. And thanks to everyone else for joining and asking questions. Nice work, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Christian.
All right. Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. Yeah. Have a good one. See you guys. Thanks, guys. Bye. Hey, guys. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. Make sure you do hit subscribe and turn the notifications on so you're going to get notified every time we upload a video. We're doing a minimum of 2 a week, sometimes 3. Covering all bases in the industry from mental health, production tips, interviewing, DJs. We're going to go deep, 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 covering all bases, get you all the information you need. Hopefully some of it is useful and there's not too much of me talking shit.